The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, is brought to you by, well, of course, you. If you want to learn more about how you can support the show, go to patreon.com/thearena_podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the post show, and to all your patrons out there, the post show will be going up to Patreon at patreon.com/thearena_podcast for the first day. Then it will go up to our YouTube channels at Expat 2020 Gaming and the Arena Citadel, and then it will go to free podcast services on Wednesday. So guys, how you doing, man? Burly, hanging in there?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Carl, you still hanging with us, man? Yeah,
still here.
Yeah,
I might have needed a little pause there.
All right. Well, welcome, guys, and let's go ahead and get started. So, first topic I want to talk about here on the post show. So, we were talking about during the segment, our topic of the show. We were talking about some of the games that were listed as perfect scores on IGN for the past 10 or so years. And what was it? The Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain was one of those games that was listed. Of course, Kojima Hideo, maker of that game. Well, this week, Kojima-san, he's made some news. And he wants to make video games that change in real time. So this comes from Kotaku and Brian Ashcroft. So, in a recent interview with Japanese lifestyle magazine Anan via Silicon Era and Yahoo News, Kojima talked about what kind of games he wants to make. He doesn't mention specific genres, but rather the overarching concept behind them. Quote, "What I want to do are games that change in real time," said Kojima. "Even as we've finally got people of various ages and occupations from all around the world playing the same game, everyone, and I mean everyone, is playing the same," end quote. Quote, "Instead of that, I want to make something that changes based on where a person lives or how they think," end quote. So you can argue AR games sort of already does this somewhat. The basic mechanic of the games doesn't change, but the maps do based on your location. What's more, for something like Pokemon Go, you physically need to go outside to play the game as intended. However, these games don't really change based on, say, your thinking. While many games for years have offered in-game decisions impact the direction of the game, but those can seem arbitrary and even simplistic, unlike human thought, which is often anything but. And in the interview, he also Kojima brought up the game that he helped to create, Boktai, The Sun is on Your Hand, the 2003 Game Boy Advance title he produced as an example. The vampire hunting game's cartridge features a light sensor, forcing players to go outside. And Kojima was saying that he also wanted the game to include a sensor that would measure garlic breath. Quote, "Because the amount of sunlight is applied in game to defeat the vampires, the game changes depending on where you played and what time you played," end quote. So, quote, "A mechanic like that connects human-made systems and real life," end quote. So what do you guys think of this? Kojima, he's always up to thinking of, like new things and trying to come up with some new innovations for gaming. But what do you think of what he talked about here? Carl, I'll start with you on this one, man.
Kojima's got wild ideas, and
yeah.
He is not afraid to say whatever strangeness is going on in his head.
Yeah.
Is this like an actionable idea? I'm not even sure.
I don't know, man. It's like this what he's talking about here. I don't think they can do stuff like that yet. Yeah. I mean, I think this is years off. I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I think he should make an AR game then, like like a HoloLens thing, like something that is aware of
your surroundings.
Your surroundings, your position, what you're looking at, then maybe he could do something that's closer to what he's thinking there.
Yeah.
It seems like Kojima, he is a very impressive, developer, like a game designer, but his ideas are like pushing very strange and way out there. And it's why I like a lot of his games, I think are, people love the Metal Gear franchise, right? Because of the stealth action sort of stuff and I guess the quirkiness, but I think it's where the story in those games is gets so far out there that I don't know that people really love that aspect of it too much. And Death Stranding was one of those games where people are like, we don't even know what this is, and some people ended up really liking it, but that's a very divisive game as well.
Yeah. Burly, what do you think of this, man?
God bless Kojima. To just do all this stuff, but it kind of reminds me of what's that guy Peter Molyneux, who would just ramble off and say a bunch of stuff and be like, we're gonna do this and that. I want to do this and that. Okay. This is all fine to say in theory, but let's see if this actually turns out to anything. I could just see him saying this and a bunch of guys that work under him being behind the curtain, being like, oh God, what are we going to be doing for the next 3.5 years? Yeah.
Project Milo. Remember that one?
Oh God, I remember because I was in college at the time, and I did a co-op for the help desk at my college, and I remember the manager, he literally, because he was like, oh, you guys play games too, and we sat there and watched the Project Milo video and then just ripped it apart and just were laughing for about a good 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And the concept, I think, was really cool, but they were obviously never even come close to executing on it.
Yeah. Hey, now, what do you guys think about? So, we haven't heard anything recently about Kojima's supposed game that's coming to Xbox. He's supposed to be making a game for Xbox now. But where do you think things stand on that?
Yeah, I think it's, from whatever the rumors suggest, is that it's some sort of streaming sort of based thing, because there was the idea that he might have been working with what's it called, Stadia, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Microsoft then became the next
Burly's
target.
Chuckling back there when you said Stadia. Yeah.
Right. Because they have a streaming thing. So again, it sounds like another bizarre idea, which I think makes sense, which is why I think it's going to be a thing. I think we'll see it probably at the Game Awards.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. I think that might happen. Yeah. Burly, what do you think? The Game Awards, maybe?
Game Awards, maybe. I have a feeling they're still figuring that out, because they're probably, knowing how Kojima speaks and all this, they're probably Microsoft's going to want him to just, lock this in and be like, okay, this is what you agreed to us. This is what it's going to be. You can't go totally 3 months from now be like, I want to change this to be this because this hasn't been done before.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, Kojima, his games, I mean, he had games that came out for the 360, right? I mean, some of those Metal Gear games, they were pretty popular in the 360, right? Yeah. So I think,
I think 2 and 3.
Yeah. So I think, this is something that could definitely work out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what becomes of this. And if they do announce it at the Game Awards, that would be a perfect place to do it, especially with Keighley. I'd love to see Keighley's face announcing that, because how Keighley is. He's pretty pro PlayStation, but to have him have to announce that for Xbox, I'd be looking at his facial expressions for that one. So
don't forget that Kojima does not care about showing something really early as far as like a concept, right? Because Death Stranding, when that was first being hyped, was like they kept showing all these weird, story CGI like things that like didn't make any sense. Nobody knew what the hell it was.
Yeah.
So, you could expect to see something like that. And to a certain extent, that works really well. Like people have criticized, of course, the double standard, but people criticize Microsoft when they put out, CGI only trailers. But Sony does it too, and it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about Wolverine, and it was like a couple seconds of CGI. I mean, KOTOR remake. I mean, Spider-Man 2. I mean, that's in engine, but still, it's not that big of a difference from CGI. And Hellblade 2 was in engine again. But these trailers that don't show the game, that just show the concept. Yeah. I know that people sometimes don't like it, but it's a thing that's coming, and it makes you excited. That's why they do it.
Yep. Okay, well, speaking of trailers and CG trailers that happened recently, of course, Carl, you mentioned Wolverine, of course, and Insomniac Games. Burly's already given his approval here. So, does Insomniac Games have too much on their plate? So, this comes from an article that came out this last week on Game Rant from Richard Warren. So he says here that in his article, he's like, Insomniac Games is clearly a powerhouse for Sony, as the developer has been on a massive hot streak over the past few years based on its 2 new announcements and the games that it has released for the PS5 thus far. It seems like this generation of consoles has a studio busier than it has ever been before. Well, this is exciting for gamers. It is hard not to worry about potential crunch time for the talented and hardworking developers at Insomniac. So he goes more into, how crunch time could affect, games. However, he does mention also that, Insomniac Games has over 400 employees working on games, and they're branching out. I mean, looks like the team that was working on Miles Morales is going to be working on Wolverine. So I don't know. Yeah, excessive crunch, is something that everybody's dealing with in the video games industry. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think of this for Insomniac Games and worrying about crunch and how these games might turn out? Burly, what about you? Go ahead, Carl. If you want to start, that's fine.
It's okay, Burly. You can go.
Okay.
I'm trying to fill the space,
Yeah, we appreciate that. Insomniac does have a lot on their plate. Whether or not too much, I think if they need the time, Sony is not gonna rush these guys until. If they tell Sony, hey, we need another 6 months to get this perfect and get this right, Sony is not going to be stupid. Sony is going to be giving them all the time they need. Yeah. Unfortunately, crunch time is still a thing in the gaming industry, and that's not going to go away. Yeah. They've been Insomniac has had that for years. Like if you've ever followed any of their stuff, like from the early couple of Ratchet & Clank games.
Yeah, and in the article, he's mentioning too about Ratchet and Clank that it was crunch free. I mean, they had lots of time to work on it. So,
yeah. But I think what they're going to come out with those games, I think they will come out good. I can't see Insomniac botching this, but. Not to say that I'm still not a little worried that they could get overwhelmed, but I think Sony is going to give them everything they need and give them as much time as they need to get these 2 games ready.
Okay. Carl, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think they can handle it. I mean, they got Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank out within within about 6 months, close to.
Yeah.
It's impressive. 2 AAA games, very polished, highly rated games.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, going forward, I feel like they're doing Spider-Man, they're doing Wolverine, and I think Ratchet and Clank is kind of not going to have another game for a while.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, I don't know how sales-wise, I think Ratchet and Clank did well. I don't think it did poorly or anything, but it's not doing Spider-Man numbers, and I think they're going to look at the Wolverine to do better as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Ratchet and Clank's had like 20 something games over the like 20 years since the series came out. Ratchet and Clank, in my opinion, can use a couple of years off to take a nice little break.
Yeah, I mean, but it is sort of just a resurgence, though, right? Because wasn't there a long break? Like they had that. It was kind of a remake, right? That the previous one. So before that, there was a break, right? That was sort of bringing the franchise back.
Yeah, because we had because before the remake, I think the last one was 2013 or 2014.
Yeah, that's
the last game, and then 2016 the movie game.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's a franchise that I think is now back on top, but. Again, I don't know if they care because when you have Spider-Man and Wolverine, you know, those are much bigger deals.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if they try to do those three all at once, then yeah, maybe that's too much. Unless they expand, you know, which is possible too.
Yep. So a little bit beside video games here, I want to talk to you, Burly, about this because it's coming up soon. You're the leader of your country there in Canada, Justin Trudeau. He's up for re-election. What do you think's going to happen there, man? Is he gonna cruise to victory?
The sad, and I don't want to say this, he's gonna get in. This is gonna be a low turnout election. He called this emergency election for people that don't know because he's a minority government. He thinks he's been doing well enough. He can easily swoop in, get a majority, so that way he has an easier time and can just pass stuff easier.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll get majority government. I think he'll get in, but it'll be a minority and he'll lose a couple seats. But I don't think any of the other parties have a good enough shot to get him out. I don't want him leading, but I'm not going to say who I want to get in.
Okay. Yeah, because in the U.S., I heard that Obama and Clinton, Hillary Clinton, were also endorsing him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So.
If Hillary Clinton's endorsing you know there's problems.
I don't agree with that at all. She gets way too much of a bad rap.
Yeah,
it's not even fair. It's very much like the feminist thing or the misogynist society that really tries to tear down female politicians.
Yeah,
and it's sad because it's totally a double standard. The way that she got treated for small things that she might have said or done versus the way that male candidates were treated, it's nonsense.
Yeah. And here in Japan, we have elections coming up at the end of the month, and the Liberal Democratic Party, which is really ironic because that name, Liberal Democratic Party, that title is they're not liberal at all. They're very conservative, and they have been since the end of World War II. I mean, they supported the rice farmers after the end of the war, and that's how they won all the elections. And here in the country, or out in the countryside prefectures, I should say, they're still very, very popular, and and it's kind of a family type of issue here in Japan. It's like Koizumi, he was he was prime minister about 15 years ago. His son is probably going to be prime minister in the next 10. It's just the cycle continues. The LDP is probably going to sweep through these elections because the minority parties we have out here, they're too small. And even if they consolidated, they wouldn't be big enough to challenge the LDP for the leadership. So it's unlike American politics, whereas the prime minister is chosen. It's like parliamentary politics in the UK. The prime minister is chosen by the head of the party. So the people don't get to decide who their prime minister is. So when it comes to gubernatorial elections, when it comes to state and local levels, yes. But when it comes to prime minister, no. So, yeah.
So you're meaning I can't come over there and campaign to become prime minister? Damn it.
Yeah. Like my son. I mean, my son, he was born here in Japan. He could become prime minister. But my daughter was born in the U.S. She can't, even though she's a Japanese citizen.
Wait, that's weird. Doesn't make any sense because it doesn't work like that. As far as I know,
it doesn't make any sense, but that's the law, unfortunately.
Yeah, because
there's
America,
a lot of laws around here that don't make much sense. But
yeah, you're considered a natural born citizen if you are born as a citizen. Like even if you're born in another country, if you're both of your parents are American citizens, I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah. Well, I'm a permanent resident out here. I'm not a citizen of Japan, of course. I'm an American citizen, but I'm a permanent resident here in Japan. I can live here until I die, but I still can't vote.
What?
If I become a citizen, then I can vote. But as a foreigner, I can't vote in elections out here. Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, actually, now that I think about it. You have to be a citizen, yeah. And can you become a citizen? Is that
Yeah,
possible?
I can become a citizen, yeah. But I don't know. I would have to give up my U.S. citizenship, and I'm not going to do that.
You can't have dual citizenship? That's not a thing?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Nonsense.
That's right. It's nonsense. But like I said, there's a lot of rules out here that don't make any sense. My son, when he turns 20, technically he has to choose whether or not he stays a Japanese citizen or just keeps his American citizenship. He has both, as does my daughter. But at the age of 20, they have to choose. Which there's probably a lot of dual citizens out here that kind of just don't proclaim. They kind of keep it a secret. So
there you go.
So, but it's a law that needs to change out here because there's a lot of people that are marrying interracial marriages and having children, and they have dual citizenships, and that population number is increasing, and Japan's going to have to face the reality that they're going to have to change that law, that system. I mean, it's probably not going to be for another 20 or 30 years, because Japan, out here in Japan, usually what the government does is they'll say it's under consideration. That's what they'll say. It's under consideration. And then 10 years later, when you come back and redress the issue, it's under consideration.
Look,
that's how things work out here.
Courtesy telling you it's under consideration, but and I know this shit ain't changing. So stop bothering us, goddammit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I work in the education system, and it's like there's out here in the schools where I work, they still use fax machines.
Hate fax machines
because they're still using newer technologies is still under consideration. I mean, they just finally started using Google Chromebooks in the schools out here, for the kids, and only in a limited capacity, so but that's the way things work out here. I don't know, Carl. I don't know if in Florida everything's under consideration or not, but the masking system and everything like that. Yeah. So.
No, I mean the Conservative Party has all the control here, so they just do what they want.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you think, what was it, Miami-Dade? That's like, what is it, the largest Cuban population down there? It's like you would think that it would sway things more towards the the Democratic Party, but they got what is it in the last election? From what I heard, they got scared into thinking that Biden was going to turn into a socialist and everything, and they were thinking of Cuba. And
Yeah,
And,
that's the problem, is that they have been manipulated and misled into thinking that the Democrats represent some sort of socialist or communist agenda, when that's completely not true. And also it's not even relevant, because like, that's not, like, we don't have that form of government here, and we never will. No one's campaigning for that to be a thing. And the problem also that they're I don't understand why they're not seeing this, is that Cuba is not bad because of socialism, or it's bad because of dictatorship, basically, or authoritarianism, right? Yeah. And it amazes me that they can't recognize authoritarianism. Like, for some reason they don't see it. Like, yeah, they went and they decided, we're going to vote for the guy who represents that. So yeah, whatever. Yeah, they got bamboozled.
Yep. Yeah, I sure did. Yeah. Well, Biden's in there now too, but we'll see. Yeah.
Nationally, I mean,
nationally,
it worked out, but like, Florida voted, against him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for the post show. So I want to thank all you patrons for supporting us and supporting the show. And of course, this is going to be going up in early access until tomorrow, which it'll go up to our YouTube channels at Expat 2020 Gaming and the Arena Citadel. And then on Wednesday, it will go to free podcast services. So I want to thank you all, and we hope to catch you in the next one next week, everyone. So take care. Peace out.